Welcome to the Speed and Gwines Deep Dive podcast. Today we're plunging into a truly fascinating topic, one that's really dividing the internet and stirring up some serious nostalgia. We're talking about Edgar Wright's new film adaptation of Stephen King's The Running Man. You sent us a stack of articles on this, looking at why this new take is generating so much buzz, how it stands apart from, well, what you might remember, and what surprising insights it might offer about our own world. So our mission is to distill all of that for you right now.
Absolutely. And it's a really interesting chance to see how a classic dystopian story gets reinterpreted for a new generation. It brings those core messages right back to the forefront, but it also sparks, well, some pretty intense debate among fans, especially those who really love the older versions.
That's a perfect frame, yeah. Because to really get what Edgar Wright's doing, we kind of need to go back to the start. Stephen King's 1982 novel, published under his pseudonym Richard Bachman. So for listeners who might only know a movie version, maybe the Arnold one, can you set the scene? What was that original book like?
Yeah, absolutely. The novel paints this really chilling picture of a dystopian 2025, which, I mean, for a lot of you listening is, well, it's right now, isn't it? King introduces us to Ben Richards. He's an out-of-work father, just desperate for money. His kid is sick, needs medicine. And in this pretty bleak future, the government controls all the media, specifically this thing called the Games Network.
Yeah.
So Richards volunteers for their deadliest show, The Running Man. He's hunted, literally hunted across the globe for a cash prize. The stakes are just immense. Survive 30 days and win. Well, sources differ. Maybe $1 million, maybe $1 billion. Either way, it's this astronomical sum. Enough to save his family, but the cost is almost impossible.
It's quite chilling, isn't it? How that original idea, thought up decades before reality TV really took off, or even the internet as we know it, it feels maybe even more relevant today. It really was ahead of its time. King wasn't just predicting like voyeuristic TV. He was showing how desperate people under pressure could be manipulated, right? Turned into commodities for everyone else to watch.
Exactly.
It's a story about the real cost of economic injustice, how a rigged system turns suffering into a spectacle, and well, how we, the audience, kind of become passive accomplices.
You've hit it right there. And what's amazing is how he nailed the psychological appetite for that kind of spectacle. It speaks to this societal craving for extreme entertainment that's almost become normal now. It asks us, how far would you go to survive in a system like that? And what do we really crave as entertainment when basic needs aren't met? It's raw. It's brutal. It looks at human desperation pushed right to the limit, where the lines between news, entertainment, control, they just blur completely.
Absolutely. And that rawness is precisely why many people's first thought about this story is tied to something, well, completely different. For so many, you say The Running Man, and they picture Arnold Schwarzenegger, that bright yellow jumpsuit, the 1987 film. It's undeniably a cult classic, right? Full of memorable lines, these outlandish characters. But here's where it gets really interesting, and something I found kind of surprising digging into the articles you sent. Edgar Wright's version. It's not a remake of that film.
Right. And that raises a really critical question for fans, doesn't it? Why not just remake the 87 movie?
Yeah.
It has such a huge pop culture footprint. Well, the original film, while entertaining for its time, was a very, very loose adaptation of King's novel. Frankly, some sources straight up say it butchered King's novel.
Wow, butchered. Strong word.
Yeah. I mean, it drastically simplified Ben Richards' motivations. The whole reason he's doing it, his family, their desperation for medicine, gone. Completely omitted. And it confined the game, mostly, to a contained studio setting. And it featured these, like, wildly over-the-top, almost cartoonish hunters. Sub-Zero with a chainsaw, things like that.
Yeah, I remember those guys.
Critically, it really downplayed the novel's grim, dark themes. It opted instead for a much happier ending. King himself wasn't thrilled with it. And, financially, it barely made back its budget. Reviews are mixed. 67% critics, 61% audience on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Not exactly a universally beloved masterpiece.
It's fascinating, though, how a film can be sort of cult beloved by some, but still heavily criticized by others, especially fans of the book. That cult status, even with all the changes, is kind of unique. What do you think explains that? And how does that make Wright's job, well, easier or harder?
That's a great point. I think the cult status comes from just the sheer the 80s-ness of it all, the absurdity, Arnold's charisma. It leans hard into that action movie vibe. It's almost a parody, which clicks with people looking for pure entertainment, maybe not the deeper themes. For Wright, it probably makes his job both easier and harder, like you said. Easier because he's not messing with a sacred text, film-wise. The 87 film's flaws actually give him freedom to go back to the real source.
Right.
Harder because, well, he has to kind of re-educate people who think that's the story. Convince them that a faithful, grittier take is actually more compelling. It's about reshaping expectations.
And that leads us right into Wright's vision, which by all accounts promises to be much more faithful to King's original darker book. It says a lot that even Arnold Schwarzenegger gave this new version his full blessing, recognizing maybe that there's room for a different, more serious take.
Indeed. It's a clear signal this isn't just, a cash grab remake. And Wright, he's known for that kinetic style, his sharp editing, blending action with social commentary, often with unexpected humor. You think Shaun of the Dead, Baby Driver?
Oh, yeah.
He has this distinct visual language, a rhythm. Applying that to the relentless chase of the running man, it feels like a really natural fit.
Okay, so what can you actually expect from this new deep dive? It stars Glen Powell as Ben Richards, and crucially, he's portrayed not as this Arnold-style muscle hero, but as a normal-ish guy, driven by desperation, by wit. That sets a whole different tone right away.
Totally. That casting choice really leans into the novel's core themes. Desperation. The individual against a rigged system. Powell's character isn't, physically imposing. He's relatable. And every man pushed way too far. And the film's described as a road movie. Ben's out in the world, always on the run, encountering different people, different places. It expands the scope way beyond just a stadium.
Much bigger world.
Much bigger. The trailer even shows this complex on our drone chase scene.
Oh.
Yeah, a shot that looks like one continuous unbroken take. And a complex drone owner suggests some really immersive, high-stakes camera work.
Yeah.
It's going to pull you right into Ben's flight. And speaking of relentless, apparently Glen Powell did a lot of his own stunts. Intense stuff, a bridge jump, climbing a wall, in just a towel.
The towel scene, I read about that.
Apparently that towel scene is straight out of the book.
That detail alone tells you it's not the 87 film, doesn't it? It strips away the machismo, shows his vulnerability. He's not a superhero, just a guy caught in something horrific. And beyond Powell, the cast is just stacked. Really adds depth. You've got Josh Brolin as Dan Killian, the show's producer, the master manipulator.
Yeah, Brolin brings that gravitas.
Right.
He's Killian properly menacing, pulling the strings. Wright apparently told him just create the best show. Chilling.
Right, and then Coleman Domingo as Bobby T, the host. He brings this chilling charisma.
Oh yeah, those lines from the trailer like, bloodlust is our birthright. And this is America, goddammit, and we don't put up with no bullshit. That signals the satirical edge loud and clear. It echoes the book's critique of societal cruelty, how easily violence gets packaged as, patriotic entertainment.
And there are little nods, too, right, for the fans. There's a quick Arnold Easter egg on a $100 bill in the trailer, apparently. Blink and you'll miss it. Michael Cera shows up as Elton, some kind of mysterious rebel helping Ben, adds intrigue. Plus, Katie O'Brien plays Laughlin, another contestant. So it highlights that Ben isn't alone in this game. It expands that world. Sounds like a much broader picture.
Definitely more populated world. It moves beyond just Ben's journey to show how the running man affects other lives caught up in it.
You know, for a film aiming for faithfulness, the trailer drop on July 1st certainly set social media ablaze. Reactions were really mixed. Some Gen Z viewers, maybe unfamiliar with the originals, were asking things like, is this a Hunger Games ripoff?
Yeah, it's interesting how fast perceptions form without that historical context.
Right.
I mean, the similarities to Hunger Games are there, obviously. Dystopian future, deadly TV game.
Sure.
But the Running Man novel came out decades earlier, and lots of online comments jumped in to clarify that. One popular line was, Hunger Games walks so the running man could sprint.
Huh.
But there's definitely a generational split. You had millennials up in arms, complaining about another remake. Hollywood's out of ideas.
Yeah.
Some comments were pretty pointed, like replacing an iconic actor with a mediocre one, talking about Powell versus Schwarzenegger, people saying, go watch Arnold's version.
The classic nostalgia versus new interpretation battle. But despite that negativity, plenty of people seem really hyped, calling it the trailer of the year, Glen Powell's Top Gun, referencing his recent success.
Yeah.
And others pointed out, maybe rightly, that a remake makes sense here, precisely because the 87 film wasn't universally loved or seen as this untouchable classic by everyone. That actually makes it ripe for a more accurate adaptation, one that maybe finally does justice to King's original intent. It's not like remaking, I don't know, The Godfather. It's giving a misunderstood story another shot.
Exactly. It's a story that feels so timely, so prescient. It kind of demands a fresh look. Modern filmmaking, a cast that gets the nuances. It's a chance for a new generation to experience the real horror of King's original vision.
Okay, so The Running Man hits theaters November 7th, 2025. But as you mentioned, it's not the only Stephen King adaptation we should be watching this year. It sounds like 2025 is shaping up to be a pretty huge year for King fans.
Well, it's massive. If you look at the bigger picture, 2025 is stacked. We also have The Long Walk, coming September 12th, another Bachman book, another dystopia. Contestants walk until only one survives. And interestingly, it's directed by Francis Lawrence, who did the Hunger Games movies.
Huh, full circle then, given the earlier comparison.
Right. Then there's The Life of Chuck, out May 30th. Apparently more uplifting, experimental, told in reverse. Stars Tom Hiddleston.
Different vibe entirely.
Completely. And finally, the HBO series, It, Welcome to Derry. That's coming summer 2025. A prequel set in the 60s. Bill Skarsgård is back as Pennywise.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it really prompts that question. What is it about King's stories? Why are they so consistently adaptable, still so relevant decades later?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think partly it's his knack for tapping into really fundamental human fears. Anxieties. It doesn't matter if they're monsters or just, a horrible game show. His stories are almost always about ordinary people in extraordinary, awful situations, economic hardship, societal breakdown, the dark side of human nature. Those themes, they're timeless. He holds up a mirror, sometimes an unflattering one, but it's always relatable somehow.
And he creates such vivid characters, memorable worlds. Plus, there's often that strong social commentary bubbling just beneath the surface, right?
Yeah.
Critiquing media, government control, whatever it might be, but without being preachy. It means each generation can find something new, something that speaks to their own concerns in his work.
Well, we've certainly unpacked a lot here about Edgar Wright's The Running Man.
Right.
From going back to King's original vision to contrasting it with the '87 film and looking at that spirited online debate, it sounds like it's going to be a high-stakes, really intense ride, one that aims to bring the source material to life in a way we just haven't seen on screen before.
Yeah, this deep dive really shows how a story about survival, about societal cruelty, about entertainment, written over 40 years ago, still hits hard today. It's a testament to King's genius, really, and hopefully Wright's vision delivers on that.
So for you, our listener, here's maybe a final provocative thought to chew on. What does it say about us, about our society, that a story written so long ago about a deadly game show fueled by mass consumption still feels so incredibly relevant, maybe even more relevant today? Are we just spectators, or are we maybe in some ways participants in the games of our own time? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you gained some valuable insights and maybe a new perspective. See you again in the next episode of this podcast.